The trade we were all waiting for, James Harden for Ben Simmons, happened. It came out of the blue. It actually came just 5 days after Coach Steve Nash said James Harden would not be involved in any trade talk. A couple days ago, Coach Steve Nash even came out again and reiterated James Harden would not be involved in any trade talk. It should have drew some red flags when James Harden missed his fourth straight game due to a hamstring injury that just randomly happened. But the scary hour Brooklyn Nets split happened in just 16 total games that they played together. And even worse, just a brutal 2 games this season. This trade blindsided me. There were some reports saying James Harden would not be traded. There were other reports saying that they are definitely in deep conversation. I figured James Harden would not leave only because, as I stated earlier, the Brooklyn Nets had only played 16 games together. And if they could remain healthy, all 3 of them on the floor at the same time, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, are arguably the best team on the floor every single night. But James Harden obviously had other plans and other intentions. The rumors had already come out that he wasn't really liking how the Kyrie Irving situation was being handled, and he didn't necessarily care to live in New York. When you look at this from Brooklyn's point of view, James Harden was a free agent after this season, which meant most likely if the Brooklyn Nets did not win a championship this season, James Harden would have been out anyway. So the Brooklyn Nets had to look at it, observe the situation, and say, let's not lose James Harden for free and let him walk away as a free agent and get nothing in return. If he's already debating being here, if he already does not like it as much as we would like him to, let's try to get something while we can. The Brooklyn Nets end up receiving Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, a 2022 first round pick, and a 2027 first round pick. The Philadelphia 76ers get James Harden and Paul Millsap. So in this small window that the Brooklyn Nets had to be able to make something work and get something in exchange for James Harden, they ended up actually fulfilling a couple of their needs, desperately needing outside shooting, since Joe Harris has yet to touch the floor this season, by picking up Seth Curry, who is shooting 40% from the 3 this season. They also were able to pick up Andre Drummond, who's a great paint presence and a great backup center. They only had one center with Nick Claxton, and when Nick Claxton was not in the game, that forced him to run small ball, which usually tended to them getting dominated on the backboards. Bringing in Andre Drummond gives you a paint presence and a lob threat on the other end of the floor. And of course, you gain Ben Simmons. The difference between Ben Simmons and James Harden really shows greatly on the defensive end. Where I have a little pushback is that you have Kyrie Irving only part-time, Kevin Durant is still out with his knee injury, and then you have an offensively limited Ben Simmons. While you gain the advantage on the defensive end, the offense is lacking. I think that'll be a question that the Brooklyn Nets have to answer. Who wins the trade? Who won the trade? We touched on Brooklyn gets outside shooting and a paint presence, while Philly gets James Harden that gives Joel back that superstar duo, that superstar tandem. It gives him that same guard who has the playmaking and scoring ability. Obviously, James Harden to a higher effect, but both playmaking and guys who can score. They're able to keep Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, 2 young pieces that they were not willing to trade. Matisse Thybulle and Tyrese Maxey were a part of some trade talks earlier, but that trade did not go through because it was essential that the Sixers keep that young core. Able to have Tobias Harris still on the wing, and then of course the guy you're building around, Joel Embiid. My one question would be, Joel Embiid leads the NBA in points per game with 29.4 points per game, and he has scored 25 points in his last 30 games. Do you really want to bring a ball-dominant guy over to the team to potentially mess with that flow? Philadelphia is definitely willing to risk bringing James Harden over and helping Joel Embiid rather than having Joel carry such a heavy load, and it may not result in winning. The way I see this working is if James Harden results back to that Brooklyn Nets James Harden from earlier this year, where we're talking like 19 points a game, 11 rebounds, 15 assists. Because Joel Embiid is not a pick and roll kind of big. He's a let me beat this guy to the block. Give me the ball on this block. Y'all clear out this side for me. The guy in front of me can't guard me. I'll go to work. It'll be interesting to see if James Harden can adjust his game. We haven't seen him do it. He's yet to do it with Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, He did take the backseat with the Brooklyn Nets, allowing when Kyrie was there, Kyrie Irving to do a lot of majority of the scoring. And of course, Kevin Durant, he played more facilitating role. I'm interested to see how that can work with him taking that over to the Sixers and not interfering with Joel's magical year. But leave a comment. Who do you think won this trade? The Philadelphia 76ers or the Brooklyn Nets? Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all next time. We out.